Hey guys, today I want to talk about 10 weight training mistakes that I've made. Now this is based on 30 years of lifting in the gym, and I just wanted to share some of this with you so that hopefully you don't make some of these mistakes yourself. Save some time, make some gains. It's all good. So the first is limiting my training to a man-made calendar. A lot of us, when we get started, like to try a bro split, right? So for example, chest and biceps happens on a Monday for a lot of people. National Chest Training Day, am I right? Now, don't limit yourself to putting workouts on a given day. For example, like I mentioned, chest and biceps on a Monday. Get comfortable with moving them around to different days. So for example, I shifted everything to a day later, and now all of a sudden, all the equipment's much more accessible. If I'm training on a Tuesday, one of my chest workouts, now all of a sudden the bench is open, right? So don't get stuck in training on the same days. You're going to be fine. Another mistake I made was skipping my calves, thinking that they weren't going to grow anymore after like 10 years or so of lifting. Doing a lot of the traditional workouts, which you'd find in magazines, and a lot of the bodybuilders would advocate, which is, okay, train calves twice a week. Do a standing calf raise, do a seated calf raise, do X amount of sets. Guys, you have to be your own scientist when you're working out. So just because something's working for someone else, you need to discover what might be better for you. And those workouts did give me some gains in my calves, but a lot of people have commented about how much bigger they've gotten in the last 6 months or year. And to be honest, what I've been doing is nothing I've read about. What I've been doing is, basically tons of time under tension. So a lot of lighter weight, higher reps, and just really focusing on that long range of motion, okay, to get the biggest burn possible. And that really has helped out, and I'm making gains again. So don't give up on a body part just because something you try isn't working. Be willing to experiment, be willing to try something else. All right, so third would be not eating enough food to gain size. You guys are going to hear this all the time. If your goal is to get bigger, to get stronger, to grow your muscles, eat more, right? Especially protein. And a lot of us think that we're doing that. I'm included in that, guys. I've been stuck at certain plateaus throughout my lifting career where, I'm like, hey man, I am eating a ton of food and, it's just, I can't gain any weight. Go watch a professional bodybuilder. Go watch a world-class strongman and how they eat. And your idea of what a lot of food is going to be reset. Guys, when you're really struggling, now I'm not saying this if you're already overweight, obese, things like that, you really need to get that in check. I'm talking more so if you're lean and your goal is to gain mass, you need to be a little comfortable gaining a little bit of body fat and getting a little bit out of your comfort zone with how many calories you're eating. So for me, for example, to break the 200, keep in mind, I'm 5'6". For me to break the 200-pound barrier takes a lot of calories. We're talking over 4,000 calories daily, consistently, and, hitting good macros, getting the protein in. And if you think 4,000 isn't a lot, go actually factor out what 4,000 calories is in your meals throughout the day. And I'm not talking about sugary, junky foods, okay? When you're eating leaner foods, you're going to have a lot more to eat, okay? So just think about that. Another thing is not tracking my macros and relying on cardio to lose fat, okay, and to get lean. Gonna be honest with you here, I have not done much in the way of cardio in months. My cardio is very easy. I would say it consists right now of maybe 15-minute walk, 3, sometimes 4 days a week, and that's it. And it's not even at a fast pace. Where most of my calories get burnt are the high volume workouts that I do. If you go see my free program, I'll link it right there, you'll see what I'm talking about. But the other piece is go for the low hanging fruit. Think about this. If I go run a mile, how many calories am I burning? 2, maybe 300 calories. If I eat 1 chocolate chip cookie on average, that's 200, 300 or more calories, okay? What's the easier thing to do? Not eat that chocolate chip cookie or go run that mile. I know for me personally, I'm going to watch my sugar intake and I'm going to adjust my calories so that I can stay lean versus upping my cardio and hoping that that's the thing that gets me lean. Not saying cardio can't help, but for me, ultimately, it's easier to be stricter with my diet, focus less on cardio, and then when I really want to pull in my low abs or get ripped, I add in some cardio. And I suggest you think about that strategy yourself. All right, another thing is I would often overwork my body. So, you'll get familiar with good pain, bad pain, right? Like delayed onset muscle soreness. You feel a little bit of tightness in your muscle. It's kind of an indicator that, hey, maybe I need to take it easy today, or I need to give it an extra day of rest. And I'm telling you, without fail, when I didn't listen to my body and ease up when I felt things like that, that's where I would get a lasting injury. For example, if I kept attacking pressing movements when I already felt some soreness in an elbow, and I didn't back down on volume or, listen to my body and give it the extra days it needed away from the gym, it could turn into something like tendonitis. That's happened to me multiple times. So learn to listen to the things your body feels. If it's uncomfortable, you need to make adjustments. Another issue that I had early on was not keeping track of the workouts I was doing. For some guys, they can get away with just going in and doing things based on memory, doing things based on feel. And I'm still okay with doing that from time to time. But I find for me personally, the best results come from data and when I track things. Guys, I'm a scientist. I'm a board certified behavior analyst. We thrive on data. I need to see where I was to know where I'm going and know the rate of progress. And that's going to come from, keeping track of not just the exercises I use, but the weights I use. The other benefit of a journal is going to come in where if, for example, you experience an injury, you can track down exactly what was happening when that injury occurred. And then when you go forward, you know what you need to avoid, put on hold, adjust, or change in your workout, because it's all going to be tracked right there for you, rather than having to guess about where you got injured or guess about what you should do next. Use that data to go and make a plan. Another thing is, guys, this is one of the biggest ones, skipping warm-ups. You can get away. I honestly think a lot of you guys are going to get away with that in your teens, in your 20s, maybe even your early 30s. But every jacked 40, 50, I even know some really big guys in their 60s year old people I know advocate warm up, guys. I'm telling you, even if you can get away without those warm-up sets and you're younger, get in the habit of doing them. It's ultimately going to keep your joints healthy, and it's going to get you in a state where you can go ahead and hit it harder and really fatigue those muscles without having to pause and take time out from working out because you didn't get the blood flow going around those joints. So, dude, I'm telling you, do your warm-up sets. All right, overthinking as a big one. All right, I'm sure you've heard this term. What is it? Paralysis from overanalysis. It can be fun to go on YouTube and watch the latest, greatest person talk about studies and what's the most effective way to do this exercise to get the ultimate mass, right? And I'm not saying there's not value in that, but trust me when I say there's also value in experience. There's value in experimentation. And guys, this is all an experiment, okay? I can tell you an awesome workout that's going to put you in a ballpark to grow tons of mass or gain tons of strength, but ultimately it's your job to hit it out of the park. And you do that by becoming your own scientist and determining, okay, when I perform an exercise with such variation, I get a little bit more of a benefit for that. That comes from you and your coach, but you're a big part of that, guys. So keep in mind, be comfortable with experimenting. Don't always stick to what someone else tells you is best. You need to be your own scientist. All right, this is another big one. Not getting enough sleep. I generally can get by on 6 hours, but that's not ideal. When I do get by on 6 hours, I ultimately have to cut back some of my training volume, and I have to make adjustments. Sometimes I need an additional day off because I don't recover as well as I do as if I have 7 or 8 hours. So I'm not saying you can't get by on less, but if your goal ultimately is to get as strong as possible, build as much muscle as possible, and do it as quickly as possible, prioritize sleep, guys. Everybody talks about this that's at the highest level, and there's a reason, because it's what we call that low-hanging fruit. How much does it really cost you to go to bed an hour earlier? And that's another tip, is try and set a consistent sleep schedule. I was always guilty of being a night owl. So basically, I would stay up late on weekends or when I had time off from work, and then my sleep schedule would get all whacked out because I'd have to go back to work, and all of a sudden, I can't use that same schedule. Try and stay consistent with the hours that you're sleeping, even on weekends if you can. I'm telling you, it's going to really help with your progress. And then finally, we'll end it with not addressing muscle imbalances. Guys, I'm guilty of this. When I started lifting, it's all about those show muscles, right? So it's like, I want huge biceps. Yeah, they're awesome. I want giant fat quads. I think they look great. But often it's those muscles that you don't see that you need to pay as much or more attention to. So what I mean by that, Well, a lot of people in bodybuilding will grow these giant quads, right? You know, with tons of quad work and volume, and not get quite as much hamstring work. I would prefer to do equal amounts of hamstring or even more hamstring work, because even though that's not a muscle you see day to day, trust me when I say it comes into play in most exercises you're going to do. When you're deadlifting, when you're doing when you have a good stance and you're balanced to do bicep curls, that's also part of your having a strong hamstring. So guys, really focus on those muscles. Again, back, okay? I always harp on, if you really want a big bench, and I've gotten myself over 500 pounds, I credit that to tons and tons of heavy rows, getting pull-ups in, and really getting a thick, strong back, because it gives you a better ability to brace, to get tight on all those compound lifts, especially bench. All right, guys, hope you found this training video useful. If there's anything that you made as a mistake and you think others could learn from, please throw that in the comments below. And I promise you that arm video is on the way, guys. It's ready to go. I just need the weather to cooperate, and we'll get that done. All right, have an awesome week.